All right, good evening. We are here for our show tonight, and we are going to go extra special. As I stated in promos, I'm not feeling all that well. Greg Cross is agreed to come in here and give me a hand tonight. And our main guest, the featured guest that I really wanted to talk to tonight, he knows a lot about Gettysburg, so I've heard. I, rumor has it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Gettysburg was a fairly major Civil War battle, I believe. It happened somewhere in Pennsylvania. So, we're going to talk about that a little bit. And Stephen, personal experiences at home, and I'd like to hear about that too. So, we're going to dig into it, and we're going to dig into it real quick. This is the WLFEDB Network. Good to have you. Want to see our show? Go to their YouTube channel or their Facebook channel, and you can watch our show live, or you can catch it as a podcast wherever you get your podcast. So if you're watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, or just send that friend request on Facebook. All right, let's bring in our guests, Greg and Stephen, and we're going to do this thing right now. Whoops, that's not what I wanted.
He's the featured guest. You should be in the middle or down by himself, right?
Okay.
There.
Like that?
That
okay.
He's...
And I don't really like that. I don't really like that black background. So we're going to put it in there. Not too distracting. And how does that look to everybody?
How is it, Steve?
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, since we are live, I think we better talk to people. Stephen, okay. You are the main guest. Greg, if you got a question for Steve, please chime in. Don't raise your hand at me. I don't know where your restroom is.
Yeah, neither do I.
So, but Stephen, let me just ask you the normal start-off questions. You have been doing a little bit of the paranormal for a while. When did you start seeing paranormal activity around you?
Well, that would be actually, I was going to say 2006. So I started collecting these haunted dolls and started getting activity at home. But actually, I've had an experience at the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, which was quite amazing. I was doing an overnighter. I forget which room that was now, but when I woke up in the morning, my glasses were gone. Couldn't find them anywhere. Looked everywhere. So I thought, well, this is reaching for straws, but maybe I'm going to just start digging down to the mattress, where the footboard was. And the mattress was rather tight. I had a hard time trying to get my hand down there, and I thought, there's no way they're going to be down there. Well, they were down there. I'm surprised they weren't scratched. They weren't in their case. They weren't where I left them on the other side of the room. There's no way to explain it. Definitely was a haunting in my opinion. And, I just was amazed they were down there. But that was probably my first real experience. That was in 1993. And then years later, 1993 at Myrtles. Yeah, that was that far back. But at home, I wasn't starting to get activity until after I started collecting haunted dolls. I've had, I'm up to about over 45 now dolls. But before, when I started collecting them, there was only a few, maybe 3, 4, or 5 dolls or something like that. And other items, though. Well, after 1 month of collecting them, things started happening. And I did tell my sister, she's got physical problems and stuff. So I'm, supporting her and everything at home. So I didn't tell her I was getting the dolls or anything. She doesn't know anything about it, right? So one day she says, "Oh my gosh, there's some strange knocking on your bedroom door." And because it was in the morning, I just started to get ready for work. And I said, well, maybe it's my hand hitting against the door. It was within reach of my bed. And she says, oh, no, no, I heard you were up going through your drawers, getting your clothes. This thing was knocking. And at that point, I spilled the beans and said, well, I've been getting these haunted items. He says, oh, okay. I did that for credibility. So there'd be no question that she really did hear something. It wasn't her imagination or anything. It was the real thing. Things escalated after that. There was things happening all over the place. We had our faucet in the kitchen go from right to left overnight, and we know it was in the other position. So we had all sorts of things. So we had space heaters going on and off at the button there. We had, one of the most amazing thing is there was a music box. I had accidentally broken. I overwound it. There's no way to save my soul that I could get this thing going after that. No way. One day it went on by itself for a few minutes. I said, wow, it's impossible. Well, 2 hours later, without touching it, it went on again. So that was definitely something there too. So yeah, we had a picture falling off the wall. I mean, we had so much going on there. That was my first haunted apartment. And then we had an experience with our second apartment also, with our haunted clock, which it fell. That was strange. It fell, and there's no way that was normal for that thing. It reset its time. It's not an automatic clock. You can't, you have to reset it by, manually by hand. So it set its own time at the correct time. That's impossible. It's not that type of clock. It's an old jewelry box clock, So, that was our haunting at that place. But then when we moved to our last apartment, that's where things really got pretty good, pretty active, I have to say. We've had, we've had so many things happen. One of the most strangest, well, they're all strange, but my computer monitor was getting dusty. And then one day when I had the screen go to black and everything, and I'm looking again, what is that? What I think it is? There's handprints, fingerprints going all along the the edges, and I thought, whoa, that's definitely something there. It wasn't me, it wasn't my sister or anything, and she was going blind at the time. She couldn't have known where my monitor was anyway. And it was, I took pictures of it. It's amazing. For those that have been on my timeline and probably have seen that, that was awesome. It really was awesome. And for a spirit to actually dust it away with his fingers like that all the way around. One of my favorites in my bedroom, though, I have to say, there's so many things that happened, but in my bedroom, I took a video and I asked the spirit, as like a video EDP or something, or a visual as far as shaking the closet doors. And so not only did that, well, it didn't shake the closet doors, but what it did was it did 2 clicking noises, like a click, click, which I heard with my own ears coming from within my room. And all of a sudden my fan tilted by itself. It moved. And I got that on video. So that was one of my favorites there because you see it, you hear the sound, and also you get to see what it did. And the fan tilted at the same time as the 2 clicks. So I had a lot of things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the one time when I got the Dybbuk box, that was something. And the next 2 days, I had a couple things happen.
You got a Dybbuk box?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was going to be bogus or not, though. It was quite amazing. I just decided to get it. I know it's somebody had practiced the dark arts and they had trapped in a spirit that they wanted to get rid of, and I had a good deal on it. A lot of these Dybbuk boxes are like in the hundreds of dollars and everything. Mine was very cheap. Maybe I think it was like $20 or $30. I never see it that cheap. So I thought, maybe bogus, but it'd be fun to collect it. So I got it. And I even wanted to do something live, say maybe I'd open it, but people said, no, most of the people said, you better not. I said, I agree. Why would I want to be cursed in any way, right? So, I kept it closed. And we had a couple things happen there. Our plug started unplugging about that time. we had this water distiller, and the plugs were in the wall, everything. And you know how hard it is to try to take a 3-prong plug out, right, of the wall.
Yes.
Not easy. Well, all of a sudden, the distiller stopped, and I thought my sister, who had part sight at that time, she could see a little bit. I said, "Well, did you unplug this, or oh no, something's wrong with this, or what?" And I look over, the plug's almost all the way out of the outlet. And then that was one of the things that happened. The next day I went out from work into the parking lot and saw my gas cap door open, which is impossible because you had to open it from the inside. And I know I had closed it after every one. I always double check it, in fact, make sure I closed it. It was closed. I come out, it's like wide open. And that too was right after I got the Dybbuk box. My sister is on the floor that same day, I believe it was, on the floor, and she felt a cold breeze or cool breeze or whatever coming from a Dybbuk box going right across her. So, and then also another plug came out of our distiller, out of the distiller itself. Instead of in the wall socket, it came out of the machine and dangling on the floor. I said, wow, this is really getting interesting, Nothing scares me. I'm just very intrigued, on how powerful whatever we had did all this. So, but we've had things happen like orbs where you can't really consider that good evidence anymore. But the ones I had were the real thing because they did intelligent things. One time one came across from my sister's bedroom door, came right out from the wall and played tag your it with the how we call it, the light switch plate. And it sort of hesitated after it got there. It just hovered right there and then tapped it, went straight up, like tag your it. I don't think dust can do that. And also another time they had an orb come out from the low down on the wall in the hall there. It came right out toward my feet, and it's bouncing back and forth between my legs. And it went down to my left foot, and it did a little circle like it's trying to tickle my left foot. There again, I've never seen dust do that before, or insects or anything. Mm-hmm. Not like that, because we didn't have any insects at that time in the place at all. And besides, when it disappeared, it minimized to a very small little dot and then disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah,
Stephen, you're talking about orbs. Were you picking them up with a still camera or a video camera?
This was video. Yeah, this video in the hallway. We got a lot of dust orbs, and I wait for them to do something special like the rod I got, a little short rod that was one of my best. I mean, I seen that. That definitely was no dust, no insect. The way it was moving, sort of curved around and then went straight up. So that that was amazing. But one of the strangest things is there's a little dust, it looks like a little pinpoint of light coming down my hallway, and then it spreads out and it hovers like one of those yellow jackets back and forth a little bit like that. Yeah, in front of my sister's bedroom door. Then it talked, and I had to boost up the sound a little bit, but it actually said Jack Tick. So we call our spirit Jack Tick after that. And dust doesn't talk, of course. So there again, those are the 3 instances where I believe it's from an intelligent source. Even if it's not a true orb, something was behind a dust orb that make it do those things, which is still be a paranormal type of thing. But there again, that orb or anomaly on that one anyway, and went all the way down to the bottom of the door. It went down to a little pinpoint again and then disappeared. So yeah, I got amazing things happen over there.
Yeah, Greg. Let me ask you right here. What do you think of him having a Dybbuk box in his house, haunted dolls, and getting this kind of activity in his house?
I had talked to Steve about the dolls in Facebook chat, and I don't have any. I'm not really interested in having any. I don't even do live communication out of here, ITC wise, in my house. And it's just because of everything that I hear about other people. Now, I admire him for his doll collection. I think it's absolutely amazing. I've seen some of them. You know, it's really cool. I have plenty of friends that do that same thing. You know, Christopher St. Booth is one of the ones that, you know, he has a haunted bazaar auction that he just ran this last week. And he's one of the Booth brothers. So they do the haunted movies and the horror movies and all that. And he
Right.
has quite a collection of objects, especially the exorcism boxes that were used on a lot of the big cases that were made into the movies, the real things.
Right.
So, you know, I think for a divot box that he paid so many dollars for, I'm glad he didn't open it. You didn't say you opened it, did you?
No, I didn't open it. No.
Okay. Do you still have it?
Oh yeah. Have in the living room with all the dolls. I have them all the way against the wall, all the walls in my living room. I just because I no longer have the display case. That all had to be thrown out. You know, in my last place, it just wasn't room for all that stuff. So yeah, it works. I mean, you know, they stay upright. Well, that's another thing. The large doll there. This is really weird. It never falls over, but you know, until one day I just happened to be in the living room and it falls over while I'm in there. Now that I don't know that maybe that wasn't something, but maybe it was.
She wanted attention.
Maybe I tested all these dolls individually now. You know, when I first got them, in my last apartment, I tested everyone with the K2, making sure that it wasn't close to my phone, or I just turned the phone off actually, because I know that sets off the K2. A lot of people don't realize that. So anyway, I just tested them individually, and some had more activity than others on the meter. I noticed. Some of my older ones, it wasn't as powerful or didn't go off at all. Some of the newer ones were very active. It would go sometimes all the way into the red. So, you know, it was away from all other electrical sources too. And then I would do EVPs. And one of my most amazing ones I had three names real clear. The spirit had said Ellen, and a few seconds later, Honey, and then a few seconds later, Eleanor, real clear. And sometimes I get EVPs if I'm doing a video type of you know, showed them one day used to be on a display case. You can hear voices on there, and sometimes you can't really hear what they're saying, and sometimes you sort of do hear a word or two, you know, but there's definitely talking there.
Yeah, that you know, every time that I've been to a big location like Peoria at the hospital, they had a doll room. Old South Pittsburgh Hospital has a doll room. Post Town Elementary in over by Madison, Ohio, the same thing. Middleton, Ohio, excuse me. It has the same thing. It has a doll room. And I have this thing about when I look at them, I can I feel the doll. I can feel the ones that have spirit, where some of them don't. And one of the videos I shot where they were moving, somebody moved my Eddie Plus meter in a rubber case on a plastic chair. They moved it this far to try to get to the doll behind it. And it was these little school kids that are in Post Town. I've had them where they went ahead. This last time we were out there, they actually come up and would grab these last two fingers on our hands like they were walking with us down the hallway. That just, you know, it was amazing. The energy, you know, just like when you get touched and you get that, it's staticky and it's cold. and you can feel it. You get, and before they even touch you, you have goosebumps. And that happened there too. So I mean, I understand. I'm amazed. When do you sit down and stare at your dolls?
When I do EVPs, I look at them. I have well, my friend had actually prepared a list of questions when I'm not sure what to ask next. And that I mean, there's questions for little kids, other ones for adults, and under all different situations. Like the common one is like, who's the president of the United States? All sorts of questions. But a lot of times I don't even go by the list. I just ask them things, like, how are you? Do you like it here? How are you these days? Are you happy? Things like that, And usually I don't get a straight answer in there. Sometimes I get breathy type of sounds. I can hear something go, yeah, or hey, yeah. Those are the most common things they like to say. They like to say, hey, or yeah, or anything. It's just something very short and sweet, right?
They're excited.
Yeah, whispery voices. One time I asked, okay, you girls, because most of them are girls, right? So I said, you girls ready for me to talk to you, And then I hear it clear, yeah, yeah, or yay. I wasn't sure if it yeah or yay, but it sounds like they had some excitement there.
That's awesome. Len, it's time for some dolls.
Yes.
It's time for you to get some dolls.
Actually, I don't have any dolls, but, I am married. I've been married for a little bit over 20 years now, quite happily. And the wife has a pretty good collection of dolls that we have a kind of an entertainment center in our den. It's an old German type unit where you got the center unit kind of wide and the two narrower units on either side of it. Well, the center unit is made for a TV, and we have, by today's standards, a smallish TV, but it's all we need. We're only 10 feet away from the screen. You need a 60-inch TV with your nose touching the glass practically. But on top of that is her collection of dolls. And there's about 15, 18 dolls. I have no idea if any of them are haunted. And all of them are set up so they kind of look down on us. The taller dolls, their heads are kind of brushing against the ceiling. And if the dolls could see, they would see us. I'm facing that general direction when I'm sitting at my main computer. I'm on my laptop in my studio right now. So, because that desktop does not have a camera, and I don't want to go through the cell phone thing. I've got a camera on this computer. But the dolls are sitting there looking down on us. Her back's turned to them, but she faces the outside wall. So it's interesting. So I do have the wife's dolls here. No evidence at all that any of them are haunted. None of them have ever moved. I've never really, stuck a K2 or a millimeter up there or anything. I've never had any indication that they're haunted. So I cannot say I've had any experiences or activity there. But I do have dolls.
Wow. We have one in our bedroom, and it was my wife's great-grandmother's doll. And it sits up on the shelf, and it does the same thing where, like you said, it looks down. Now, my big question for Steve is, when you made your move, how did you transport your dolls?
In a bag. One garbage liner, one of those large, yeah, just a bag. I just took them, and we were in a hurry to move, so I stuck them in there, and I think it took like 2 bags. There's so many of them,
They're probably still mad at you.
Yeah, they probably are. we got voices going on over here and everything, and my sister hears actually, I think just about all of them. Except I heard a couple when my friend who had passed away on July 31st, over at her place a lot. Her place was really haunted, and we both heard the word no. They said, "Did you hear that?" I said, "Yes, I did." And then we heard no. So we played it back on the recorder, and there it was, no. So we both heard that. I normally don't hear the voices myself, but that time I did. And we've heard strange sounds. That she said, "Play that back again." I said, "Yeah, I definitely heard it." I can't even describe that sound. It was really, really strange. Then we heard like music and stuff coming from her bedroom. And I said, "Do you have a radio on or something in there?" She said, "No, nothing. I hear that a lot in my bedroom." And I said, "Amazing." Well, I got my best EVPs ever. You would think it'd be Gettysburg, but actually it was her place. It was more active than Gettysburg any day. We've had physical stuff that I witnessed, porch light going on, dishes that fell that shouldn't have fallen into the sink. Let's see, her popcorn maker had fallen off the counter by itself. I was there when that happened. And all sorts of things. It's just nonstop. And the EVPs are so clear. Her dog was snoring real loud one time, and his name was Pee Wee. His little small Chihuahua. And I said, "Oh, Pete was really snoring over there." Now this is on my EVP. The EVP is really clear where the voice said, "Go ahead." So to me, it said like, "Go ahead, Pee Wee, keep snoring." But it was so clear when it said, "Go ahead." A woman's voice too.
You posted that, right?
Yes, I did. You probably saw that one.
Yeah, I saw.
Or heard that one.
Heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I'm sorry that you lost her. I just wanted to say that because.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, she seemed to be, a great influence on you, and you were a good influence on her. And you were, it seems like you guys really meshed well. So.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, yeah. It really tore me up there when she passed. Because I came out here. She was the reason I came out here because she said it was more reasonable than Illinois to live in, a lot more affordable, and of course we get together to do EVPs. We have a lot of good times. But we had texted for quite a while there on Facebook. And then the other 7 months or 8 months or whatever it was with her at her place, I was over there a lot whenever I wasn't working. So she would fix me the meals and everything else. Speaking of meals, we had a great object displacement going on over there at one time when we were sitting at her table. And she had a tube of Orajel in her purse. Well, mysteriously, this tube transported to her dish right where the food was on her plate. Like, wow, that was great. I'm not a stranger to object displacement. I had plenty of it in my last apartment. But that was amazing that it actually landed on her plate. And she said, "Did you do that?" I said, "No." I didn't know where she even kept it. She said, "No, that was in my purse." And then another time we had. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One question I've got for you. You've had a lot of recordings where you recorded a voice, you heard it with your naked ear, the light anomalies moving around on you, and you've had displacement. Have you had any smells?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. I did at my last apartment twice. I come in from work, and my sister still has some of her sight left and everything else. And I come in, it smelled rotten. It smelled worse than sewage. It was horrible. I was hollering at her. I said, what'd you do in here? You contaminated our whole apartment. It's horribly smelling in here now. And she didn't even smell it. She didn't even know what I was talking about. So I walk up to the kitchen sink, and then there was another smell that was different from that one. It was vomit. As gross as it was smell of vomit coming from the sink. And I said, "What's going on here?" And she didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, "Well, she had to. It was so bad, so powerful." So what I did, I took the meter thinking, well, I think I know what this is all about. And I took the K2 in an area where nothing else is going to set it off. And I asked the spirit, can you make this next light here blink twice if you did this? And it did it. And I say, okay, now I didn't want to take it just for granted for that one time. I say, I want a confirmation. If you did this, do that again with the lights. It blinked twice again. And right after that, the smell, as bad as it was, disappeared totally. All of a sudden, all at once, there was no more scent. That was totally amazing. That was the best example probably of smells I could think of, that at least for what I had experienced, The other time wasn't as bad. I smelled unscented candle wax burning in my bedroom. And there's no way, we don't burn candles. I had no candles to burn in there.
Like it was a unscented taper or something, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that type of candle. Right. I could smell that burning, but there was nothing there. And there again, then it disappeared, after a while. Totally.
You can't hardly find a taper now. We like to use them for decorative purposes, with not burning them. But we can't even find any to order unless you order custom made things. So you're going to pay about $15 to $20 a candle. And that's out of our price range for a decorative candle. Because tapers, they burn slow, they're tall, and they have a tendency to set curtains on fire.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Oh, that's because they have to be dipped, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stephen, how old is this place you're talking about? Is it an older apartment building or a newer one or what?
Was that you mean the last place, or you mean where I'm at now?
Where you're experiencing the candle smell.
Oh, that was an apartment building. I have no idea how old that was. It was in Rolling Meadows, Illinois, and I think it's been around for quite some time. The hallways are just like a hotel. You enter down the hallway and you go to your apartment. But but I tell you that it really boggles the mind on some of the stuff I experienced there.
What was your address?
That was let's see, what would that have been? 4716 Anton. Oh no, wait a minute. Arbor Drive.
Arbor Drive.
Yeah. So
you're west of 53.
Uh-huh.
Right, that complex right there off of Algonquin Road.
That's the one. Yeah. Yep. You got it.
Because I worked at all the post offices there. I worked at Rolling Meadows, worked at Elk Grove and Arlington Heights.
Well, that was very convenient for me because then I just got out on Algonquin Road, which was right there, and it got right into 53. So wherever I was working, I was ahead of the game there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a little. They were from probably the late 60s.
Okay.
When they were put up.
What was there before?
What was what?
What was there before?
Boy, I'll tell you, it was a field, I think. I want to say. Or it was a liquor store or something, and they tore it down and they put those buildings up.
Because if you got some kind of paranormal experience, especially canning or light anomalies or something like that, I'd want to dig into the history of the location and see if there was an old farmhouse there. I don't know, about 100 years ago, an old cabin there where people had lived. Maybe they're messing with your dolls. Maybe they possess one of your dolls. Who knows? And a candle might be just a piece of home for them, and you just happen to smell it because it's fading into our realm from whatever realm you call that they normally inhabit.
Well, you remember back in high school.
Live there.
You remember back in high school what 53 was like, right? You had you had a 2-lane road. And that's all it was. So, you had a concrete bridge, and they would have like an area where you can go up onto it. But and I want to say back then, you were probably right. It was a farmhouse because that was mostly all farms. If you went into Rolling Meadows on the corner of Wilkie and Algonquin, on the north east side of that intersection. That was the Pingle farm. Remember Lynn Pingle?
I don't recall that.
There was a farm there, and then next door to him was I can't think of her last name. They had a pig farm. And it was
But
there.
my hometown was Des Plaines, so that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have known. The Rolling Meadows was still a foreign place yet. I didn't move it till many years later. I was in Palatine, Arlington Heights, before Rolling Meadows, and now, of course, out in Clinton, Indiana, which there are some pretty good haunted places around here too. I've talked to Dale Kazmarek. I'm sure you know him. His group is going to be investigating. In fact, I was going to ask him if he wanted to do Willow's Weep, which is about a 30-minute drive from me, and he's interested in doing that. So I think he's going to hopefully follow through, and then I'll be invited to help them investigate that place. And Patty had an experience at Willow's Weep. Her cousin lived right across the street from there. That's like her own old neighborhood. So she happened to be there, and the owner happened to be there at Willow's Weep. And she said, "Would you like to come in and take a look?" She said, "Oh, yeah." So she unlocked the door and said she wanted to pull the doorknob. It was locked. She said, "You didn't unlock it." She says, "I sure did. Here, I'll unlock it again." And so she tried it again. It's locked again. She did this like 2-3 times. And then she says, "Okay, this time I'm going to unlock it. And then you pull that doorknob real quick and then push the door." And she did. And she finally got in. The spirits didn't want her in there. So that was pretty good. Yeah, she had always the feeling that there was something there. She didn't experience anything except that she had that sensitivity, which I never did. I never had that sort of sensitivity. Right. But that was Patty really sort of. She was like a spirit magnet. One of the most amazing things about Patty's place, get back to that, is her clothes hamper, which is a pretty good size, that was in the washroom, turned all the way around. When she went, this is right after I had left her place, she tried to open it. It wouldn't open. Then she realizes that was the back part. It turned around. And there's no way her animals or anything could have done something like that because it was too heavy for them. And I videotaped the whole thing there, with my camera phone and showing what she was talking about. Went back in there and showed the clothes hamper. And that took quite a bit of power for something to move that, But she always had things going on over there. And every EVP we seemed to do was fairly clear to excellent. I like Class A EVPs. But when it comes to Gettysburg now, my best one, my favorite one is my second trip there, where I went with a friend of mine. So we both investigated the town. And where we stayed at was at the Belvedere Inn. And we were in the Primrose Room. And it's supposed to be haunted by an entity called Jeffrey. So I had my allergies. I was sniffing and everything a lot. Every time I'd sniff, I said that was me. Every time his chair would creak, he said that was my chair. So on playback, then we heard the sniff and I thought that was going to be me saying that was me, but it wasn't me. The sniff wasn't even mine. The first sniff wasn't mine at all. It said in a whispered voice, "That was me." And then you hear me sniff and say that was me. Now, how did it know I was ready to say that and said it before I said it? And before on his, the spirit said, "The chair," in a whisper voice before he said that was my chair. Amazing stuff. Gettysburg is really powerful that way. And so we think it probably was Jeffrey, but what is up with that? I mean, did they read our mind or did they do some paranormal editing in the recorder?
There's a theory that I happen to subscribe to. You got to figure out what a ghost is. That's basically your mental energy, without our body. And of course, you can sit there when you're nothing but energy, and our minds are nothing but energy. A little bit of matter, a little bit of water. And I think a lot of spirits are inherently and quite naturally telepathic. It's not a special. They all have it to some degree or the other, just like people have it to some degree or the other. And if your mind is open, they can read your name, where you're from. I've had several times, one at Baxter's Grove, where I'd be talking to a spirit and they would name somebody's name who was walking through. I had that happen here in Arkansas at the Allen House in Monticello, about 30 miles from my door to their door. One of the most haunted privately owned residences in the country. And I was there just in their room on a public tour, doing a little ghost hunting on the side. And a tour walked through, and one guy had a baseball cap on. And I said, his name is Alan. The primary ghost there that everybody wants to talk to is Liddell. And she's the lady who committed suicide. I'm not going to go into that whole long story right now. But Alan's her son, who died in his early 20s. He's also there at the house. There's more than one spirit there. Liddell gets tired easily. If you go through there with a couple of tours, she'll fade away. But Alan, her son Alan, is an entertainer. He likes giving everybody their money's worth that comes through on a tour. So he'll usually pull some kind of joke. He'll say something. All you got to do is listen. But a guy walked in with a baseball cap, and he was the only one wearing a baseball cap on the tour. I said, Alan, can you name the gentleman with the baseball cap on? And he immediately names his name. And of course, several people thought that I had faked it until they realized the guy had left the building and I'd never seen or spoken to him before. I had no clue about this man's name. Complete stranger to me. And Alan just picked up I said, can you pick up his name? And he said it immediately. And the guy he's not like, my name is, when he walked into the room. He hadn't said anything. He was kind of in the back behind people on the tour. And he left the tour and left the building. He was gone. Of course, you and I, the three of us would not leave a building. We hear our name called. But you got to remember, the average Joe on the street, they hear their name called over a ghost box, they're gone. And this guy was gone. When it happened at Baxter's Grove, it was a child's name that the spirit picked up and said it when the parents and the young child, less than a year old, walked in the front gate. And when we told them, we asked them their names, and we said, no, you're not on our list. Those names were not called. But I thought about it a second. I said, what's your child's name? And that's why you always have a legal pad, a pencil, pen, piece of paper, and write down when you hear a name called, what time. And if somebody walks in, like Baxter's Grove walks in the gate, write that time down. And the times were the exact. When they walked in the gate, the name of the child was called. And when we did not know that until 15 minutes later, when they were leaving, I asked them what their child's name was. I said, did you know we just had when you walked in the gate, we had a ghost say your child's name, and it was a child's spirit. They left Baxter's Grove Cemetery in a big hurry. They covered that quarter mile to the highway at a jog. The young lady had the baby on her chest, one of those carriers where the baby's right here. And she was jogging with that baby here. Her husband, the reason she was jogging, because her husband had hauled butt and had left her there. That's what you run into with the average Joe. That's why I was asking, talking about telepathy and the fact that three of us just our names called. Oh, that's my name. Sometimes I've said after 3 or 4 times, I'll say, okay, that's the third time you call my name. If you keep on calling, I'm gonna make you buy me a new one. And sometimes I'll get a laugh or a smart little comment. you just got to open your mind because a lot of their communication is telepathic.
Hmm.
My theory, anyway.
Yeah, you mentioned about Bachelor's Grove. Yeah, Patty actually and we investigated that with another friend of ours there at. I did get at the very end, just before we left, I did get a breathy sound voice saying something, and it was hard to hear what it said, but it might be another yay or hey or whatever it was, but it was a voice. So because I've been there before, but never got even that. We tried with the meters and everything else, so we were not successful really. Except they were going by the temperature readings. I said, well, you can maybe to a point, but you've got to look at the the lights and everything else on that. And the REM pod wasn't going off or anything. So, and there was other things too. There was what all that we brought along, but anyway, the person that was with us, her place is haunted too. So we go down to her basement when we come back from the cemetery. Maybe it was the night before. We spent one night there. And so I asked the spirit down in her basement, who's the president of the United States? And this time it was not a whisper voice. It was a regular voice that said, I don't even know. I thought that was pretty good. Maybe in their realm, maybe they don't know who the president is. That was really good. You could actually hear it on my recording. Yeah. I don't even know.
That's amazing because I've had some people will say, who was the president when you died?
Hmm.
And they would name a president from several years back. Sometimes I have heard the current president name. Well, not I haven't really gonna go some of these places as Biden's been in, but the current president at that time named. So some of them are up to date, some of them are not. I had you two both being from that area. You remember the Eastland crisis?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sinking. Well, you remember the 100th anniversary was a few years back, and I was in that one cemetery where several of the Eastland deaths, the people were buried there, and they actually have a memorial in the cemetery for the Eastland. And one of the three people I was with said, can you give me the captain's name? And we heard the captain of the Eastland's name, and then they're a Titanic fan, and they said, "Can you give me the name of the captain of the Titanic?" Just think of a year or two earlier before the Eastland, and they named the captain of the Titanic.
Wow.
And that's a piece of information even I did not at that time know, and I can't recall right now, but they just gave it just right off. So it sometimes amazes me, even me, the things you can pick up. And I've gotten where I've had this happen so many times it doesn't even surprise me anymore, to be frank with you.
So, Stephen, what kind of recorder do you use for your EVPs?
My favorite one is probably Olympus. Olympus is really good. I've tried others. I had the best luck with the Olympus. I don't know why, but I do. And that's the one I primarily used at Patty's. I've used it, let's see, a couple other ones. I got the generic Zoom type, but it's a different off-brand, but it's built the same way, And I don't remember getting really a whole lot with that one, but I went back to the Olympus, and I still use that to this day. Use that same one and get the best of the best.
What do you use, Len?
I use something very similar to what he has. It's got a short memory on it, so I can't just park it somewhere and let it go because it'll only record for about 30, 40 minutes. But to get what we're talking about here, if you know you didn't get anything, you can listen to it, write it backwards, and just start over. It's electronic, so you're not wearing out of tape. And you can get some good EVPs with it, that you can just listen to, right after they happened.
I know I have an Olympus, and I'm tired of it because it's too small for me now, and I have issues with the tremors, so my fingers don't work well, and the buttons are too tiny. So I'm looking at the Zooms, and there's another one. I can't think of the name right now. I've got it written down here somewhere, but there's another one. No, I don't have it, but it's very similar to the Zooms, and the price ranges are around the same. So it's like, for a halfway decent one, you're looking at like 150, and it's
Right.
a little bigger, so it fits in your hand like a pistol grip,
Right.
on a gun.
Right.
Compared to
Gotcha.
those little ones that you got to hold them like they're like a cookie at a tea party.
Yeah. My first one was only about I could put it between my fingers like this.
Yeah.
And only about this wide. And the buttons are really tiny, but it had a very long memory. I could set it down and I could live for 3 or 4 hours and it would record for 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes if I'm in a multi-roomed house, I would leave it on a table or something, or whatever was in that room, and I wouldn't have to go in there. I may go stick my head in there and ask a question just to see if I could get something. But usually I did it in the room I'm not primarily investigating.
There's the one. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
It's Olympus.
Right. Those have got, the one I'm talking about is smaller than that one, and the buttons are really tiny. And
there you go.
Well, this one is the same one that I've been getting the best EVPs. This one I got from the Ghost Exchange in Gettysburg, where Pam, that one that was there. Yeah, so I got that one from her, and I did get some voices on this one too in Gettysburg. Some noise I didn't really think I was going to get, because that was a real long one, and it was on for a long time. So I played back actually at home and said, "Whoa, there's voices out here," and whisper voices, something that was not coming from any other room or anything. And I always listened to background noise around me just to make sure, that it wasn't something or somebody. But those particular ones are from 11 in the morning.
Wow.
And nobody's going to be whispering at that time, usually not. But it was remarkably quiet on the outside of the Jenny Wade room where I was. And I was getting voices in there and everything.
Well, you were like right in the center of the beehive.
Yeah. I've been going to that place a lot. To the Farnsworth house and everything. And my friend Brad, Michelle and Brad were there. They met me over there, and we were in adjoining rooms there. Well, the room next to theirs was the Sweeney room where I was in, but they had wait a minute, they had the Sarah Black room, which was supposed to be one of the best for haunts. Well, I was in there helping them out in their room at Sarah Black room, and Brad says something to the spirit. He says, "Well, I bet my son has a better shot than you." And so he responded by saying, "Get the money," like he wanted to bet money. The spirit said that. You could really hear it say, "Get the money." So he says, "Okay." So he takes his money out of his wallet, puts it on the bed. Okay, if you take it, if it's yours, if you could take it. So, of course, it didn't take it, but so that was pretty good. So that was the best one I heard. I wish I would have had my recorder going on at the same time. It would have been nice to know if that voice came across on both recorders. So I said, well, from now on, when we get together, we're supposed to get together again in September and go not only to Gettysburg, but to the Hoover House, where Pam of the Ghost Exchange and her husband, Steve, own that place too. So we're planning to do some investigations there. I want to spend at least 2 or 3 days there. And then also join them in Gettysburg, probably Farnsworth, or maybe even Belvedere Inn or something. They're all pretty active. The whole town is active.
That's a great town, and I'm with 2 groups. So I was there with Dale Kazmarek, and I've been Dale is, if you were going to go on a tour to Gettysburg or a group to Gettysburg, the only way to go is with Dale, because Dale knows Gettysburg like the back of his hand. Dale
It's just too bad. Oh, I'm sorry.
He can take you, he can go from marker to marker to marker to marker, and it would take 3 days, and his oratory would take him that long too.
Wow.
He's that good. And I was really, really impressed, because I started out there when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
At Gettysburg. So what happened to us out there, I had talked to Mark Nesbitt about, and Mark's the one that wrote all the books on Gettysburg.
I finally met him. I met him on this last trip.
He's a sort of an old friend of mine, because he's been on my show with the Shadow Hour, and that's with the Shadow Hunters up in Lake Villa. So that's why I'm still with both groups, is because Dale's a mentor, and the group up here, I have the opportunity to have this show and do some good of investigations up here and in southern Wisconsin and that. So it's really great. But I've always been envious of the fact that you had the opportunity to stay in those locations, because I don't think I'd be able to sleep at night at all.
It's just too bad they don't allow you at night anymore. Right when the sun goes down, they close up the park.
Well, we were getting out of there at 11 o'clock.
No.
But, now the last 2 years, it's actually been, to me, the things that have been going on in there are almost to the point of being like sacrilegious, because that's honored ground,
Yes.
and that's the way this country, that's how this country was made. It's part of our making of our whole country. That's what, it was pinnacle for this country at that time. And to have people out in the middle of places like Iverson's Pits shooting off bottle rockets at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night and screaming their lungs off. Reynolds Woods, the same thing. It's like they don't have the manpower to go ahead and tell these people to cut it out. This is sacred ground. People were killed here, and you're out there screwing around like a 10-year-old. That to me is just, and I thought I'd mention that to you because I know you've seen it too, because you've been out there. And there's more people should voice very loudly how they feel about it, so that everybody understands that, if you go out there, that's a place to be. You have to respect,
Yeah. Oh, before we run out of time, this is just an hour show, right? Glenn?
No, it is a 2-hour show, and I'm about
Oh,
to
it
have to go to
is.
commercial
Okay.
break.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, 'cause there's so much more to talk about.
Since you brought it up, why don't we just go ahead now? It's a minute or two early, and go ahead and go on commercial break while we're at a good stopping place, and let my network sell some stuff, and we'll be right back, and we can pick up with our current thoughts. Is that okay with y'all?
Sure.
All
Sounds
right.
like a plan.
All right. Let's fire this baby up here.
Warning: the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Rochester Winter Parafest is back, March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. Come say hi to Naked and Afraid celebrities Melanie Elizabeth and Trent Nielsen, Haunted Case Files Jack Kenna, Monster Quest Steve Coles, and more. This event has it all: paranormal investigators, UFO researchers, Bigfoot researchers, and even photo opportunities for the kids with Buddy the Bigfoot. Oh, okay, adults too. Come on down and get a tattoo from Ink Master Tony DeVille. There are psychic gallery and individual readings, as well as radio personalities, authors, jewelry, makeup artists, and so much more. It's only $15 per person, and children under 10 are free. March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. For more information, go to WLFE-DB.com. Yes, Winter Parafest is back. Valley Oak Event Center, Geneseo, New York, next to Denny's.
Try again, buddy. Try again. Yay! Okay. Oh yeah! Good job. Oh.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.
Yeah, we do have an appearance of Bigfoot on this show. Buddy is he doesn't say a whole lot, but he's a really nice guy. He's kind of in our age brackets. That's why the pictures are in focus. He's had a lot of practice. You know, most of the younger Bigfoot, all the pictures and video are kind of blurry, and you never see one on a lawnmower. That's kind of unique. About this Paracon up there, it will be this spring, and you see the lineup of guests they have. It'll be an amazing, especially for $15, amazing Paracon to go to. Love to go there, but basically the way we are right now with the way I laid up with her hip, basically if it's not within walking distance, I'm not going this year. The Arkansas Paracon will be in October. So we're trying to make plans for that. That just got announced last week. I said, I don't know if they'll have it or not. It's been canceled the last 2 years because of COVID. So I'm hoping to talk to them, and I can be throwing a little 30-second blurb up for them, and, you know, maybe get a dime for it. I don't know. But at least I can show some place where I'll probably be in October. I'll probably be, if I can get me a table there, maybe broadcasting live for a lot of the Paracon, maybe some of the speakers that will agree to be on broadcast. I may actually be doing some of that if they agree to it. So that should be interesting. But enough about me, enough about the network. We're done with all that. Where the heck were we? And what were we?
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg.
Yeah.
By the way, one comment about Gettysburg. I've never been there, and I'm at this point not sure if I'll ever get there. So I'm extremely envious of the two of you and Dale for having been there so many times I have to live Gettysburg through y'all, so I do appreciate when the three of you, Dale included, talk about Gettysburg and some of your experiences there, because that's the only way I'll experience Gettysburg.
It was my 10th trip. This last trip,
Yeah.
September.
He's like the million mile club. Steve belongs to the Million Mile Gettysburg Club.
Do you drive there, Stephen, or do you fly, or
Yeah.
how do you get there?
Well, from Clinton, Indiana, it's a 10-hour drive. From my place, my last apartment in Rolling Meadows to Farnsworth House, hey, get this, the exact mileage was 666.0.
Oh, who was your
666.
co-pilot?
Yeah, 666. So I
That's what I'm
photographed the
saying.
odometer.
Who was your co-pilot with that?
So
I'd have to question that person.
Well,
so I
Yeah.
always drive by myself. Yeah, I go by myself. And except that at one time I went with my friend there. I drove us to and from Gettysburg, and that was that second trip. That was the only time I ever had anybody with me. But like I say, that was one of my best, because I actually got what we got at the Primrose Room there with Jeffrey, the entity. I still can't get over how it knew what we were going to say. It said it before we said it, but it is what it is. It's paranormal, and that was good enough for us.
we were Dale and us were invited to Mark Nesbitt's tour building, and the original part, the back of this building was a wagon wheel guy's manufacturing place. So it was like a big giant garage, and he made wagon wheels in there. And during the Battle of Gettysburg, there were 3 Confederates that held up inside that building during the battle, because they came in and out of the town. They've got pushed one way, and then they turned around and they went back the other way. So it was like a rubber band type thing, back and forth. And I want to say that when we were in there and we were investigating, it was all the way to the front of the building, and that's where Mark's tour business is. And so we were in the back, and Mark was with us, and he just got done taking us and telling us everything in the building and where we were at and everything that was going on. And he was going to leave. And I was like the last one in the room, so I was closest to the door. And he came through, and I shook his hand, and we went around the corner, and the door was there. And, he opened the door, and I says, "I'll lock it." And he says, "Fine, have a good evening." And I went to lock it. And as I was locking it, somebody went by me. And I turned around, and it was like there were 2 doorways, probably about 8 feet apart. The doorway that went into the next room where everybody was at. And then on the other side, there was nobody in this next room. And it was a bigger room. It was like a living room area. And as I turn around like this, I saw a black shadow going through that doorway towards the other side of the room. So I ran over to the door. I didn't have my camera was in my pocket or my phone. And I saw him go through the next doorway. And he was almost as big as the doorway. And so I brought this up when Mark was on my show. And I said, I think we called him. I think I said to Mark, I says, "I think you called him the linebacker," or I said fullback or whatever it was, but it was a different name. But he says, "Yeah, I can remember when you told me that you saw him." And he was there 3 times that week. He showed up, and he was a big Confederate soldier, and he was walking through the building, literally. And all I saw was the shadow. And when I got all the way to the next room, which was where his business started, he was totally gone.
Wow.
And I sat right in that room for 3 hours on the floor that he walked through, just waiting for him to come back. And it didn't make a peep. And I just had my gear on and I just sat there. And everybody was still in the back doing whatever they were doing back there. And I thought he was going to come back. But he was big guy. A big guy. And, you know, everything was confirmed, and Mark was talking about a lot of the other things. And it's amazing what goes on there. I mean, you know, Stephen, how many times have you been to, what's your favorite places on the battlefield?
Well, I've discovered Iverson Pits. I didn't even know about that. I passed it several times on the path there, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where it was. I saw a tutorial on it, and I was looking in the background to see where my landmarks were to locate this Iverson's Pits. And I found a landmark. I guess there's one that had like an eagle or something on there, and then there's a tower near there.
Yes.
I found it. And so that was on the last trip or two. I tried more now to that area to get EVPs and everything. And of course, I know the story there too. But Confederates are coming, you know, and the Union was hiding behind that wall, the stone wall. And then they jumped up all of a sudden when they became within range and gunned down about 500 at a time. And there's a lot of them still, they believe, are still buried there in unmarked graves, making it one of the most haunted areas in Gettysburg.
Rosemary Eileen Golly was with us. And she was with us, and we were doing an EVP session in the pits area. And she picked up a few different voices of soldiers, supposedly. At least
Was this during the day or at night?
And during the day. I've been there both. I've been there at night too. At night, I heard, you know how they call it, what they call a rebel yell?
Yes.
It's actually a screech, almost a scream. And I heard it plain as day, and Chuck Williams was over about maybe 30 yards to the left of me, and I was by the tower. I had put my stuff down, and I was walking towards the tower because I was thinking of going all the way up the tower that night. And I turned around, and as I turned around, I heard this scream, and I'm trying to figure out where it came from. And I went back and I was talking to Chuck, and then I talked to Dale a little bit, and Dale says, well, that was obviously a rebel yell.
Greg, how did it sound? Can you kind of imitate it?
If you wanted to scream, that's what it sounded like. Like he was.
Did it kind of sound like? Did it sound like this? Yeah.
Sort of. To the extent where the guy was.
The guy was what?
Like he was screaming. You know, a lot of those guys let out. Yeah, I mean, there were. I never heard anything like it.
Remember where I'm from?
Yeah, I understand.
Where I'm from, Greg.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Georgia.
I know.
And
I know.
Some of them go yee, and some of them go yee, yeah.
Well,
and
I wasn't really I wasn't a student of that, but I would consider it to be a scream, either one of them that you did.
But you know, Confederates. By the way, I'm dressed in all gray tonight, so I've even got gray pants on.
That's good, because I'm still partial to both. I'm not sided one way or the other, because they were all my brothers. You know, they're all my brothers.
Yes, well, they were all brothers. Even though being a native-born Georgian, still got a little bit of grudge against Sherman. Because some people say, "Oh, he did great things. He shortened the war. He took Georgia completely out of the war." Da 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 da. From our point of view, down in Georgia, all Sherman burn, ravage, and stampede people and rape cattle.
It was bad, but I'm looking at it strictly from the military side, and I used that
Yes.
down in the triangular field when I was down there by myself that night, and it was like that's what I used and they came out of the woods. I could feel them, and there were like 10 or 12 of them that came out and surrounded me.
Mm-hmm.
And there were,
wow,
it was a highly emotional evening for me.
Yes.
Because, I told them who I was and, that I had fought for the country too. And it didn't make any difference what side they were fighting on. We were all brothers. And,
Mm-hmm.
it was that they came out on. And,
Yes.
How I didn't end up with any EVPs because I had a recorder. I was on a piece of solid granite that was probably 20 feet long and probably about 15 feet wide. And it had boulders on the corners of it. And you could still see the bullet holes in the granite, in the boulders.
Wow.
So how much lead was flying through there. It had to be
just a rain.
It was absolutely. So, when I know what Steve's done, and, it's just, he does such a remarkable job with EVPs. I've had one EVP that I recorded in Lake Villa on that Olympus recorder. I had it. We played it back once. It was very distinct. At this point, I can't even remember what it said, but it was like 3 words. And the people that were with me, I played it for, turned around, walked into the room, and I went to turn the machine back on, and I had lost the EVP.
Wow.
It was gone. I don't know how. I have no idea. I know they can manipulate machines.
Yes, they can.
But I'm going, it had to be something I did. And everybody says, no, they didn't want you to have that. And I says, and ever since then, I haven't really done too many EVPs. I will hand my recorder out to other people in the group, either Dale's group or up here with Shadow Hunters. They can use my recorder anytime they want. Because I've lost interest. That's why I'm wondering about these other recorders, because I'm looking for one that I could really handle well and not mistakenly hit the wrong button, if you know where I'm going. Because
you mentioned about that, about how they can control, electronics. Well, actually, this has to do with when my friend and I were, this second trip to Gettysburg. The Spirit, Jeffrey or whoever it was, allowed my recorder to record this. He had his on. The recording light was on, everything. It turned his off. But just wanted mine to record it.
Yeah, but was your recorder on when it recorded it?
Yeah, mine was on. We got it on mine, but his was on in the recording mode and everything, and it shut his off. I guess early on. We looked back, the light was out. He says, wait a minute, I had it on. The recording light was on. It turned it off on him.
I have a few people that actually have recordings on their machine and didn't have them on. Which is the same kind of thing. It's manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can do anything.
I've had pictures. I've had photos disappear. if you look on my Facebook page, you see that picture of me with my arms kind of up in the air. There was another picture taken of me, same position, just a second or two away from that photo, that had a light anomaly right in my crotch area. A very bright one. It wasn't dim at all. It wasn't see-through. It was like I had a very bright flashlight shining it out. Now it was daytime. I didn't even bring a flashlight. Two people, me and another somebody else that took the picture, had that photo offloaded off the camera onto computers, and over the same night, the same photo disappeared off both of our computers.
If I could just take a moment, if somebody wants to watch us right now, they can get on here via your Facebook page, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
They can either go through my Facebook or the WFLE's. WLFE, excuse me.
But you have a posting on your page that all I have to do is hit. It's like a link, right?
Yes, go to the go to Facebook Live and it's there.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to take a second here. I'm going to text them. So
okay, go ahead.
Let's have a bunch of good stories.
Okay. About this manipulation we're talking about, they took a video at Baxter's Grove, and the card recorded it. I could watch the video on the camera, but I couldn't download it. And I talked to several people, experts in the field, and they said that's impossible. If it won't download because it's corrupted, it's not going to play on your camera because it's corrupted. But it would play just fine on the camera, little tiny little screen. You couldn't really see any details, but it would play perfectly. But absolutely refused to download. And then I tried to delete it. And I worked for a year trying to delete that video off the camera. And finally, it deleted. And, a lot of people were throwing the card away so you don't lose anything. I used that card nonstop until the camera wore out and never had any other trouble with that card. I would sometimes fill it up to the brim to take photos until it said, we can't take another photo, it's full. And never had any problem downloading anything or anything else being corrupted.
After Gettysburg, it was probably the next spring. We were down at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, and all I did then was I did nothing but shoot IR camera. They were Sony's, right. And I used that camera, and I would just have it on a tripod. And I would just like fan cast a room back and forth. When I got home, I took the card out of the camera and I put it in my computer, and I must have had 80 or 90 pictures that I had to review. And as I was reviewing them, the sequence of shots, I knew the areas where these shots were taken.
Okay.
And in an area in the middle was an area that was the furnace room downstairs. And it was on day one in the afternoon. The guys were having a lot of activity. So we went in there to do EVPs, and I was going to fan shoot it in there in the dark. And we got done with that, and then we did the rest of the investigation. I must have shot another 50 pictures. When I got home and I put it on the screen, the very last picture that was on that card was the picture of the apparition of the nurse down by the boiler room. And it should have been not even halfway through it, but something had taken that picture and put it at the end. And it was like just weird.
Wow.
Just weird. And it was you could see her standing. I don't know if I ever sent it to you two, but you can see her standing there and she's like looking down, and in front of her is her cat. You can see her cat too. And she lived on the 3rd floor. She retired. She didn't have any place to go. So the doctor that was running the hospital said she could stay in that room. And she stayed there and she died there. Now, 5 years previous to me capturing that picture, Dale, Stanley, and most of the group from GRS were down there at Old South Pittsburgh, and they captured an apparition of her in a room that was opaque. You can see sort of the outline of her coming down. You can make out that it was a nurse. And then right at her feet was her cat. And it was like, come on. And everybody goes, well, there are spirit animals. And she loved this cat so much, the cat was with her. And the guy that runs Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is a dear friend of mine. And I just saw him this afternoon in Fox Lake. And we were talking about that. And he says that if you go to the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, if you go there to their page, you'll see that picture of her standing by there's 3 stairs that go down, and she was at the top of the stairs. Freaky looking head. The way it's cocked and it's sort of square looking, but you can see the hat, her nurse's cap that was on her head, and unbelievable. And that has been undoubtedly one of my best captures. I had one at Joliet State Prison too, on the basketball court. But everything in there were all those, how the gangs would spray paint all the walls. When they closed, you had gangs going through there and everything because it was abandoned. And in the middle of the basketball court was a basketball that was laying on the floor, and I was shooting pictures, and I was with one of the Kathy Perry and her sister Marge, and we were just shooting shots, and I had my tripod, and I was shooting the old basketball court, the gymnasium. And as I was shooting these pictures, she goes, "What is this mist? Look at this mist." And this mist sort of materialized out of nowhere. It's like probably 22 degrees outside, and the mist sort of rolled across the court. And I was shooting these pictures. So I've got this, and it's in Ursula Bielski's book, my picture, but it's this weird looking, almost like a cartoon character that's standing there hovering, and he's looking down at the basketball, and his arms look like they're like 10 feet long. Big head. And it was like the same kind of thing. And when I brought it home, or when I was going through my pictures again, it wasn't where it belonged. And I thought there had to be something with the camera, because I bought the camera off of eBay, and it belonged to somebody else. And I have another story that I will share tomorrow night with you on my show about this. And I'm not going to say all of it because it was freaky. But every time you get something off of eBay, you know, you have a chance of picking up some sort of energy from somebody else. Is the only way I'll put it.
I got some of my
Right.
dolls on eBay.
Huh? Yeah.
I got some of my dolls. Yeah. Etsy, that's another one. I got some, but eBay was most of them.
Yeah, that's
I've-
unbelievable.
I've never done that. I have
I-
never bought anything off eBay. I've bought something from a paranormal group or two, but I've never had issues like that.
Yeah.
This is I'm trying to remember the name of it. This is a cyber shot. And it's a digital camera IR. And these came out
Right.
quite a while ago. And
Yes.
I have 3 of them, and I broke one. So now I have 2 of them that still function, and they have these weird batteries in them. And you know, you have to use a smaller card. A small, you know, you can use a regular straight SD card, or you can use one of those micros in this. And it has issues. You can actually do movies with this too. You can shoot
Right.
movies. We shot at Thornhaven Manor, and I shot an hour and a half there with the same, but I ran out of juice because it uses your batteries up. Stanley, and you know Stanley, right? Stan Soho with Dale Kaczmarek is
Yes.
the guy that was always with him with the straw hat. Old
Not
Stan.
familiar with him.
Okay, well he was the tech guru with the group, so I was under his sort of mentorship for quite a while in the beginning when I first got there, because I was involved with all that kind of stuff. Because Stanley was the guy that knew all that stuff of how to hook up, and you know, instead of trying to use a little battery inside, he'd have the converters and all this stuff to go ahead and convert, so you could run right off of AC cord, which was pretty phenomenal at the time. But you don't cross your wires.
No.
Oh, by the way, on object displacement, I didn't go into any detail about those. You might find interesting. My last apartment, I set my keys. I had my apartment keys on there, my car keys, everything on a key ring. I set down on top of this one box that was perfect for, you know, after work, I could just plop everything down on that as a platform. And I know I had them there. So, you know, a little later on, I needed my keys for something. I can't remember what. And I looked at, I say, well, it's gone. It's no longer there where I put them. I thought maybe my memory's going on me. I don't know. I looked all around and they're just gone. So I even called the front office, the leasing office, and say, it looks like I'm going to have to get some more keys there. Mine are missing somehow. But after looking around, and then several minutes later, I went back, it right there in plain sight, my keys. And here's another thing. Another time, I had my keys in my pocket, and then all of a sudden they were gone. They're no longer in my pocket. But what happened was they ended up, actually underneath another pair of shorts, like a next pair down. They're in the pocket of those cutoff shorts, which I have not even worn for about a month. Now, how they do that, I don't know. But
What do you call that kind of spirit?
well, it's object displacement, but I don't know. It's mischievous, I guess. But
Trickster.
yeah, we had 2 large bags of clothes in our storage room there. And one day they just gone. They were in plain sight too. The first 2 that you see out there, they're gone. You know, it took almost a year later before they returned in plain sight. Where did they go in the meantime? You know,
Wherever you wanted to put them.
I guess
Yeah.
what the spirits do to them, I don't know. You know, for all those months they they had those 2 bags of clothes.
You know, if you would have told me this last year before the fall, I would have said, Steve, you're crazy. And then it happened to me up in Minnesota at a place called the Anderson House. And the same thing happened. You know, you're getting ready to go to bed, and there was these 3 hangers on the wall. So I would hang my outside coat, and I'd have, you know, hang my pants and everything so that when I came out of the shower in the morning, I could get everything on and I had everything ready to go. And I had my car keys and I put them in the one pocket. And then I had the key to the room, which was one of those old keys that we used to have in the city back, you know, in the 50s that, you know, for opening and closing a door, the lock on the door handle by the handle. And I had that and I put it on the dresser because I knew that that would be the first one I would be using is when we would go downstairs in the morning, I'd want to lock the door up. And Mike Wright was right next door to us. So he was with me and he'd come through and I'd say, okay, you ready to go? And I turn around like this and I look to grab the key and the key was gone. Now they actually had told us there was a trickster for those 2 rooms that would go around and hiding things on you, that kind of thing. So, and then it was both days that we stayed overnight there. Both days it happened. And believe me, that was the farthest thing from my mind that I wanted to happen. Okay. Because we were all focused on what we were doing and where we were going, and, you know, let's get this done. You know, you're on a mission, and where are the keys? You know, where's this key? You know, it's like, what? It absolutely drove me nuts. And I'd look and I'd go, thanks a lot. You know, can you pick on somebody else from now on? Leave me alone, please.
Makes you wonder what they're going to do next, you know?
Yeah.
It's anybody's guess. But yeah, well, the last apartment we had again, my sister's room, she told me about this. Her blinds were moving around like crazy. There's no wind outside, or, you know, nothing was coming through. It just was moving around, trying to get her attention. Then the little doggy diaper pail that we had when we had our little dog, the top flipped up by itself, which it can't do it. She showed me you have to press the knob down before the lid would pop up. So something did it. Yeah. All sorts of crazy things. And then of course my apartment, I didn't even mention my present apartment now, my bedroom door is open and closed all the way, twice in one day. It's open and closed. And my door, you know, if it's not latched, it'll open up a little ways. But this was a total, you know, the latch actually clicked, you know, it closed, and then open again, and then, you know, later in the afternoon, then click closed again. It just, you know, you can't explain that naturally. Right. It's just, and our lights too have been going on once in a while, and that one light I never used, that was on one day. So, you know, things happen at my place. My sister hears my voice, you know, and then recently again, you know, she knows it's not me though, you know, either I'm at work or I'm at in my room or something, but she'll say, yeah, she heard my voice again. One of the most grossest things, well, first of all, she heard a little kid that was just inches from her face, she said, because now she's totally blind, but she heard, and a little kid was really close, but she couldn't understand what he was saying though, some gibberish or whatever. But the most gross thing was, you know, she has to use her urinal in her room and everything. Whatever it was in her room actually lifted up this urinal and shook the contents, as gross as that sounds, shook the contents and then lowered it back down to the floor. You know, things like that.
just shook it.
Yeah, shook whatever was in there. I don't even want to mention what was in there, but it was liquid. Let's put it that way.
I don't think any of us would like to experience that.
No,
No.
but it didn't scare her. She's like me. We don't scare. We know what they are, and we coexist with them, and that's good enough for us. As long as they don't become getting out of hand, which they never have. It's all mischievous stuff.
Yeah.
We know their old tricks, and then some new ones too. They come up with.
Yeah. Well, as long as they wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, if they calm down, if you ask them to, I don't have a problem with it. I try not to allow spirits in there because there's two of us trying to sleep, and the wife has been disturbed on several occasions by spirits in the old house in Chicago running up and down the hall. She had to call the child's mother on her, and her mother had to come get her. And this was the white lady at Bachelor's Grove had to come in and get her child.
Wow.
Yeah, yes, Greg. You remember? I'll probably go to that tomorrow night. I did find out who the white lady is and why she goes there, and some very lovable, passionate reasons. It's not demonic at all, and that's why people going into Bachelor's Grove have trouble. You see, you get what you want. You go in there and you're looking for a demonic dog or hangman's noose or shadows. You're going to see them because they're going to show them to you.
Yeah.
But especially during the day. Now, you have a changeover at dusk. You've had the daytime spirits and the nighttime spirits are entirely different.
Right.
There. You can ask Dale this, the atmosphere, because he's been there overnight also. And the overnight atmosphere is just a totally different location.
Yeah, we got to stay there till midnight. At least I think it was 12:30 when we had that exemption or whatever it was for when Chuck Williams did 1,000 Words, his documentary on Bachelor's Grove. And we were all there. I mean, everybody. We had 3 camera crews that followed us around when we were doing our little mini investigations and everything. So that was a real wild night. And
Yes.
the big the guy with the hat that's at the corner of the new fence down in the corner, when you're looking at the little child's grave,
Yes.
if you know where I'm at, on that backside there, down in the fence down there in the corner, there was this huge shadow figure that had a hat on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been there forever. He was supposed to be one of the bad guys. Supposedly,
Yes,
they call him a bad guy, but I don't remember his name.
It could be one of the overseers, the caretakers of the place, and of course, the caretaker can go both ways. If you go to a cemetery or anywhere else, there's a caretaker. During the daytime, during business hours, he's nice, polite, showing you things. But if you go in there at night without his permission and you want to do damage to the place, he's a bad guy because that's his job. And some people are theorizing that's one of the former caretakers of the place. And that's why, like you say, some people say he's a bad guy because they've gone in there with improper intent, or at least he thought they may be.
Yeah, that there's been quite a few crazy things that I've seen there. But most of them, that your quarter mile back to across the street to the forest preserve, we had tables set up outside of the cemetery about maybe about 50 yards down the path. And it was all for the crews, for the film crews, and for everybody that was part of the filming that night. And there was a lady that ran by us towards the cemetery. and she ran, and she went into the cemetery, and we were talking and everything, and all of a sudden, and here comes this woman back the other way, and she's got sage going, and she's like taking it, putting it underneath her arms and between her legs, and as she's running, and she's running. It was like, whoa, what happened to her? And we're just standing
There
there
is
like,
some.
did you see that?
There's some crazy stuff that goes on there.
Oh.
I've had people run out. I had one guy run around in circles in there by the Patrick grave. His wife was seeing. Actually, there were a couple of spirits there. His wife could actually see them because she was telling me right where they were without me telling her. So I knew she was seeing stuff. And he was literally running around in circles, and his two teenage girls were frozen in place. He decided he would just tired of running around in circles, I guess, and he sprinted to the gate and was running down the path, leaving his girls and his wife right there in the Patrick plot. They realized he was gone, and they also ran out. So I have seen quite a few people literally run out of that cemetery.
That's unbelievable. Have you seen anything like that, Steve?
Not quite like that, and I don't really know anybody that would run out of a room, though. I know that us investigators, we run toward it,
Yeah.
Yes.
but not.
Not at bad.
Paranormal investigators are good ones are like firemen and policemen. When the firemen, policemen, I've got all the respect in the world for them, because when there's trouble, like a fire or somebody's hurt or somebody needs help, they run toward the problem instead of like we would run away from it. But us as paranormal investigators do the same thing. We run toward the ghost when everybody else is running away.
Right. Now, have you guys ever heard the show Paranormal Cops?
Yes,
of course.
It only went on for like a season.
It was out east, right?
It was Stone Park. The sergeant that was in charge there, he went on to do Paranormal Cops, the Chicago area. But I actually investigated something for him before he did his show. Ron Fabiani was the sergeant, and Richard Crowe, you probably remember him. He did all the folklore of the. Anyway, Rich and I kept in contact with each other, and he knew I had all the gizmos, for the ghost hunting and stuff. So he gave me a call, say, hey, we got something going on at the haunted nightclub, Club Nitro in Stone Park. Could you bring your stuff over there? So it was like in January, whatever, like that. It was pretty cold, but the place looked like a police station. It had all the squads out there in front of everything else. So go in there and met Ron, and the group in there, and so we all got strange anomalies and stuff on our cameras and everything. Even though they turned off all electric in the whole place, and it was really freezing cold in there, I was getting amazingly high readings on the meter and everything, which was sort of strange. It shouldn't have done that, but it did. But later on, I found out that Ron's getting his own show, So I asked him if there was room for one more like me, and he says no. It turns out I was always a professional videographer there for a while, and the guy I used to work with doing some weddings and other things, he turned out to be on the show. I didn't know about this till later on. He turned out to be on the show as the video specialist. I forget his last name, but it's Scott something. But yeah, so I worked with the guy. I was surprised he was on there. But I could have been the video specialist.
You didn't bother to tell you. You didn't bother to tell you he was on the show.
No, he didn't mention anything about that. It might have been like after the fact too. I don't know. So, oh man, I could have been a video specialist.
Right.
I don't know, but now. Oh, also before I forget, you guys have heard of Willow Creek Farm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Shannon, Illinois.
Right.
It is very haunted. I've been there several times because Al Helser is a friend of mine. And in fact, Patty and I went to visit with him also. We did get a voice. As soon as I turned on the recorder, this is during the daytime and everything, got a voice. And I think again, I think it said like, yeah, you know, but it was definitely a voice. So I used to get the amazing things. Al and I would go into.
Jealous.
I'm sorry. What did you say, Lynn?
The main spirit, the main female spirit there is quite jealous of him.
Yes. I can't remember her name now. You probably do.
I can't either. It's been too long.
Yeah, I know it, and I can't think of it though. Yeah, she's usually in the main bedroom and everything, the master bedroom. But anyway, when I first started going there, Al and I would go out to eat in town. I left the recorder upstairs and downstairs on. When I played it back when I got home, I was amazed. We heard doors shutting and everything, on the EVP. The thing is, he didn't have the doors on the hinges at that time. He was sanding them down, refurbishing the place. There was nothing to shut. Yeah, we heard it must have been a residual type of thing,
Yeah,
from another age or whatever.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You've got both. He's got both there, some residual and some real. When you go upstairs, the bedroom on the left, I believe the one on the right has got an air conditioner in it, but I'm talking about the one to the left with no air conditioner. I was up there for a 2-night investigation, and I actually spent the day because I don't sleep at night. If I'm on an investigation, the adrenaline's kicked in, and I'm lucky to get any sleep during the day. But had been up. I had looked through some of the video already because I couldn't sleep. So I thought, I got to lay down because I got an investigation coming tonight and I want to be at least awake for it. So I started lying down. Y'all don't care about this, but I sleep in the buff. I cannot sleep with clothes on. So I was getting out of my clothes, fixing to lay down, and I was getting lightheaded because I'd been up for so long. And I could hear this. I had no equipment on, no cameras. Everything was recharging. Everything was dead as far as battery charge. I heard a voice said, "Is he all right?" And another voice come on, "He's all right. Just needs to rest or needs to be tired." It's a little bit of tad garble. I heard this with my naked ears. I had no recording devices going on, but I heard that voice. Al was not in the house. He was gone. He had stepped out early that morning. He'd said, "I got a few hours of errands to run." He had been gone. The investigator up there with me went to bed 2 to 3 hours before because he was just wiped out. He was in the room with the air conditioner on, just down the hall from me, but he was out cold, literally with the AC on.
Wow.
Now that room to the left, as you go up the stairs, it's to the left, you said, right?
Yes.
That was supposed to be Dr. Graham's room, I believe. And then to the right, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was to the left. I believe you're right. I couldn't remember his name, so I wasn't going to say it. So I appreciate you repeating that name.
Yeah,
I
Dr.
don't know
Graham.
who the room.
Well, the room to the right would have been little Lily, the little girl that drowned in the creek on the property. And then you got the master bedroom around the corner there. And
right, that's where Al stays.
Yes, exactly. Sarah, that's her name, the entity that Sarah, I believe, that's in a master bedroom.
I think you're right. Al came downstairs one of the nights I was there, just seeing if we were getting anything. And I was sitting at that big table, right at the base of the stairs. And Al was down there. We talk. You know how Al is. He's talkative. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He said, I got to get up early in the morning. Let me go to bed. But I believe he said Sarah. I think you're right about the name.
Yeah.
It probably wanted me to come up there. And I looked upstairs and I could see a see-through figure of a woman standing there with an impatient pose, waiting on him to come up the stairs. He had his back turned to her and knew she was there. I guess he could feel her. And I just looked up at her and I could see her partially. They said it was not a full bodied, but I could see right through her. But there was nobody upstairs. There was only the three of us there.
Wow.
And there she was. Saw me
Amazing.
looking at her, and I saw her walk away. But then when I looked again, she'd come back, and I said, I think you got somebody waiting on you at the top of the stairs. He said, I bet she is. She's probably impatient. She doesn't want me to come back up there and go to bed. He's one of the few people who actually sleep on a regular basis with the ghost.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's been doing. It's amazing. I got my first and only picture I ever got of a spirit in his backyard. It was amazing. The best proof he's ever had. You've probably seen it before, right? I've had it on my timeline and everything. You can really see the spirit like a skull-like head and everything, and wrapped in ectoplasm, and also a big bunch of like a mist, a fog, ectoplasm, portal, whatever you want to call it, in back of the barn. What he tore down the barn since, but I mean, it was in back there in the field. And that was the only picture that turned out like that. The pictures before and after that were as clear as could be. There was no smoking, no condensation of the breath. It wasn't that cold. It was just amazing. You see this big mass just out of nowhere, just for that one picture.
Yes. The same day I heard the voice in the bedroom. I'd been on the first floor just before I went upstairs, and I saw movement. So I thought Al had come back, and he had actually come back, but he was out front of the house, and I was looking, and a friend of his had pulled up in a truck, but was still in his truck, and it was only one friend because I asked Al several questions, and he was meeting one guy up there. I saw a small, dressed in brown material, brown period clothes, walking across his backyard. So again, all my cameras are dead. I had no evidence of this. I walking back toward the end of the house, toward the driveway. So I would run down the end of the driveway to see around the corner to see who it was. Here comes Al from the opposite direction from the front of the house, walking toward the driveway, and the figure I saw in the backyard had completely disappeared. Al admitted there's a woman that he sometimes sees that goes out to the mailbox and either puts mail in it or checks it to see if there's any mail in it. He's not sure exactly what she's doing. But that's where she was headed. She was headed to the drive. And then I guess when it was a female, rounded the corner and saw Al coming up from the street level, just completely faded away. That was a shock to me. And again, the person investigated with was sound asleep. He slept about 10 hours that day and actually missed. And of course, I partially missed because I had no equipment. So if you ever go there again with Al, be sure to keep a camera or a voice recorder charged up. And if you spend the night there or spend the day like I was doing, sleeping during the day, take it with you because you don't know what's going to happen in that.
Oh, yeah. I've always got mine nearby all the time.
Do you guys got body cams?
I don't.
Do you have body cams?
I do now. I've got a, what do they call it? A GoPro, full spectrum GoPro that just for that reason, for that very reason I just talked about, I specifically got that camera so I would have that on me if I was going to bed down in a haunted place during the day.
That's a good idea.
So I had a camera.
They have ones out now. You can pick them up for like $130, and you can clip it right. It's the ones the police use,
right?
And everything's recorded.
This is just a GoPro. It's about like this. I can strap it on my head or lapel. By the way, gentlemen, it is 8:59. I hate to mention it. I've had a lot of fun. This has been 2 hours that have flown by for me. but it's time we got to bring it to a close because it's 9 o'clock right now by the computer.
There it is. There's
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
I got to look into getting that.
That
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
But
It's on Amazon.
I got to go.
Okay.
I got to go because
Thanks for having us.
WLFE has a show
Yes,
coming up
thank you.
afterward.
Nice seeing you,
I
Steve.
really appreciate
Well, same
Steve
here, Greg.
showing up. And Greg, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay. We'll see you.
Same time, different channel. And just send me, just do like I did you.
Yep.
Send me the link, and I'll join you in your green room, and we'll have some fun tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then, Len.
Stephen,
Take it easy.
Stephen, I want to have you again. You're a great guest, and thank you very much
Well,
for
thank
your
you.
stories.
Awesome.
It's been fun having you.
Okay,
you,
Greg,
guys.
we'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay.
Good night, everybody. And that's the end of our running a tad over, but I've been told I can run a tad over. So it's not like they're going to fire me. So good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. I'm not sure who the guest is going to be next week. I'm still working on that, but it will be an interesting show. Like I said, Stephen was a great guest tonight. I look forward to having him again, talk about the divot box and some more stories of those dolls. So, all right, take it away, Bones.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Good night, everybody.